Right guys, a quick few words on that popper that doesn't fall, something that we've all experienced. So the first question is a bit of a judgment call. Popper that doesn't fall, it gets scored as a miss on any shooting discipline. And you need to decide how important is that miss within the context of your match. Secondly, how important is it that if you hit the popper correctly and it did not fall down, it needs to be recalibrated so that your fellow shooters can have a fair chance also at not losing points on a popper that has become improperly calibrated, where the calibration has gone out as a result of it falling over repeatedly or for some other reason. So my advice is that if a popper doesn't fall and you are convinced that you've hit it solidly in the scoring zone, not too low down close to the fulcrum, but in the scoring zone, and that your ammunition is on par in terms of being able to knock down a big heavy popper, then at the end of the course of fire, when you are stopped, the end of it, when you holster your gun, you should, before you have seen your score or your targets, you should request calibration of that popper, that it actually be tested by the range officials to see whether or not it falls properly. And that will happen in terms of Appendix C1 of the IPSC rules on page 50. You can go and download the 2025 IPSC matchbook now, and sections 5, 6 and 7 are specifically important around that calibration procedure. You should also be familiar with that calibration procedure and understand what your rights are in the event that the popper fails calibration, or in fact that the range staff member who tests the popper at that time fails to hit it properly and it doesn't fall down as a result of not being hit properly. Exactly what that will mean for you as a shooter. The last thing on poppers, when one of our fellow shooters remarked that he understands on a match that a specific club uses very big heavy poppers, be aware with the big heavy poppers that although you might have a solid hit, the reaction of the popper to that hit is quite slow. It'll fall forwards or backwards depending on the way that it's designed, but it takes some time for that muzzle velocity of the projectile to actually start the popper moving. And you can almost get to a point where you think it's not going to fall and you take another shot at it to see that it actually does start falling, or that you hit it hard and you think it has started moving and it doesn't. So with the big poppers, be prepared to take a split second, a little bit of time to confirm your hit and confirm that you're actually seeing some physical reaction on the popper. It's very different to a steel plate, which immediately flies the moment that it gets properly impacted by a bullet. So I hope that's useful on poppers. Possibly the last thing that I would mention to you is one of the reasons that I think that shooters tend to miss poppers more than they miss square steel plates is because we get this idea that we're shooting at something big because it's tall and there's a lot of steel there, when in actual fact the scoring area of that popper, the popper that you want to impact with your bullet, is about the same size as a normal size steel plate. So the bottom line is, treat the popper with respect. Treat it with the same respect that you would afford a solitary square steel plate standing by itself. Don't think because you are shooting at something tall that you are shooting at something wide. Because the area that you need to impact that popper is very much in the rounded area at the top to get it to fall easily or properly, and it's not wider than the normal steel plate. That's it. Enjoy your shooting.